The sun was low over the rocky hills of Vega 12, a small mining planet at the edge of the galaxy. Ryan Walker, a human engineer, wiped the sweat off his forehead as he climbed down the narrow path of the canyon. He had finished his weekly supply. Check-in was heading back when he saw something strange at the bottom of the ravine. It looked like a large piece of metal, half buried in sand and stone. It shimmered slightly in the fading light. Ryan frowned. It didn't look like anything from the mining station. Curious, he slid down the slope, boots kicking up dust, and walked closer. The metal wasn't just a piece of junk. It was a hulla. Damaged one. He touched it carefully and felt the heat still coming off the surface. This crash was recent. A large crack ran across the side and strange markings covered the ship. It was clearly alien. Well, he whispered to himself, you're definitely not from around here. Ryan looked around. The area was quiet. No signs of movement, no emergency signals. Whoever or whatever had landed here wasn't calling for help. He hesitated for a moment, then walked back to his transport and brought out his tool bag. He had always been curious, and this was too interesting to ignore. He worked for hours, cutting through twisted metal and clearing debris. Slowly, he made his way into the interior. The ship's systems were almost completely offline, but he found a backup power node and began to restore basic energy. Lights flickered on. Broken ones buzzed and popped. Inside, the ship was a mess. Wires dangled from ceilings. Walls were scorched, and smoke still hung in the air. Ryan moved carefully, using his flashlight to scan each hallway. Then he saw a sealed door with blinking red lights. It looked like a security chamber. The panel beside it was cracked, but he managed to reroute the wires and force it open. A hiss filled the air as the door slid open. Inside was a small room with a pod in the middle. Something or someone was inside. Ryan stepped closer. The pod's glass was fogged, but he wiped it with his sleeve. What he saw made him freeze. A girl, not human. She had pale blue skin, silver hair, and long pointed ears. She was unconscious, but alive. Her body was curled in the pod like she had been hiding or protecting herself. She wore strange armor, dark purple with glowing lines. Ryan didn't know what to do. This wasn't just a ship. It was carrying a passenger. She was still breathing. "Hey," he said softly, knocking on the pod glass. "Can you hear me?" Eyes shot open. They were bright, violet, glowing slightly even in the dim light. For a second, she looked confused. Then her hand slammed against the inside of the pod. It opened with a sudden release of gas, and she rolled out, landing on the AS floor with a groan. Ryan stepped back, holding up both hands. "Whoa, take it easy." "I'm not here to hurt you." She looked up at him, weak, trembling, but still dangerous. She pulled out a small blade from her boot and pointed it at him. Her voice came out rough, barely a whisper. "Who are you?" "Just a guy who fixes things," Ryan said slowly. "You crashed near my mining site. I found your ship and fixed a few things." She stared at him for a long time, then lowered the blade. Her arm dropped to her side, and she collapsed again. Ryan caught her before she hit the ground. "Easy now, you're hurt." He helped her to a bench and checked her for injuries. Her skin was bruised and she had a gash on her shoulder. Ryan pulled out a med kit and started cleaning the wound. She winced but didn't stop him. "What's your name?" he asked. After a pause, she answered, "Ilari." He nodded. "I'm Ryan." She looked around the ruined ship. Her eyes narrowed. "How much did you see?" "Not much," he said, though he had seen some strange controls and writing. "Your systems are fried. But I got power back to half the ship." She gave a slow nod. "Are you military?" he asked. "No." He waited, but she said nothing more. Clearly, she wasn't ready to tell him everything. "Look," Ryan said, standing up. "You're lucky I found you. There are wild storms out here and no one patrols this canyon if I hadn't passed by." She cut him off, her voice softer. "I know." She tried to stand, but her legs shook. Ryan helped her again. "We'll get you out of here," he said. "I have a small shelter nearby. It's safe, and I've got supplies. Once you're stronger, we can figure out what to do next. Letter I. Hesitated, then nodded together. They left the damaged ship and made their way back up the canyon, the stars starting to shine above them. Ryan's shelter was a small outpost made from scrap and parts collected over the years. It sat under a large rock overhang, hidden from the winds and storms that often swept through the canyon. It had power, a water system, and enough supplies to last a month if needed. As they stepped inside, the warmth wrapped around them. Alari looked around with tired eyes. Everything was strange to her, but she didn't seem afraid anymore, only quiet and alert. Ryan helped her sit on a chair and handed her a water pouch. She drank slowly, her hands still shaking. Then he warmed some food packs and gave her one. She looked at the wrapper, puzzled. Ready-to-eat meal, he explained. Not great, but better than nothing. She nodded and took a bite. Moment she spoke, "You live here alone?" Ryan said, sitting across from her. "I work at the mining station a few miles east, but I like staying out here when I'm off duty. It's quiet. I get to tinker with old tech, fix broken stuff." She studied him, her eyes calm but curious. "And you found my ship by accident?" "Pure accident," he said. "I wasn't even supposed to take that route." Alari looked down at her hands. Silence filled the room. Ryan didn't push her for answers. He could tell she was thinking deeply. After a while, she asked, "Why did you help me?" Ryan shrugged. "Would have felt wrong to walk away. Besides, you looked like you needed help." She smiled faintly, the first real sign of softness since they met. "You're not like others," Ryan chuckled. "Depends who you ask." Ch. Leaned back, breathing slower now. Her body was healing, but the weight in her eyes hadn't lifted. She wasn't just lost. She was hiding something. Later that night, Ryan stepped outside to check the signal range on his comms. There was still no activity from orbit. No ships in the area. Strange. Usually a crash like that would trigger a search party. But nothing came. Back inside, Alari sat on the cot, watching the small heater glow. Her voice was quiet. "They're not coming for me," double quotes. Ryan turned. "What do you mean?" "I was attacked," she said. He stared at her. "I'm not just a soldier or a traveler," she said slowly. "I'm someone important. My vessel wasn't meant to be in a war zone. It was a royal ship." His heart skipped. "Wait, royal?" She nodded once. "I'm the daughter of the High Matriarch of the Ashrani Empire, Princess." Ryan blinked, trying to process that. A royal alien. He had been repairing a princess's ship all day without knowing. "Why would they attack you?" he asked. "Power," she said, her voice bitter. "I refused to support a plan that would bring war to weaker planets. Some of the council saw me as a threat. They arranged the attack and made it look like an accident, so they think you're dead." "Yes, and they want it to stay that way." Ryan sat down slowly. This changed everything. No wonder there was no search party. She wasn't lost. She was hunted. "Then we need to get you out of here," he said. "My ship is too damaged," she said. "And we can't risk sending a signal. They'll trace it." Ryan nodded. "I'll go back to the ship tomorrow. Maybe I can fix the communication array without alerting anyone. Or maybe I can shut off the tracking systems." Alari looked at him with a strange expression, part surprise, part respect. "You're willing to risk that for me?" He shrugged. "You trusted me. Seems fair." That night, while she rested, Ryan lay awake, staring at the ceiling. A few hours ago, his biggest problem was fixing an old mining drill. Now he was hiding a royal alien who might be the key to some galactic power struggle. The next morning, packed his tools and hiked back to the crash site. Everything was as he left it. The ship still crackled with faint power. He worked for hours, removing panels and digging through the systems deep inside the console. He found a royal encryption key embedded in the ship's core. He had never seen anything like it. It pulsed softly with a strange glow. Ryan realized this wasn't just any ship. It held sensitive data, possibly secret codes or maps. He made careful adjustments, turning off the beacon and scrambling the ship's identity signal. Then he reconnected parts of the communication system. bypassing the main transmitter so it couldn't be traced. He returned to the shelter covered in grease and dust. Ellery sat up as he entered. "Did it work?" she asked. "Yes," he said. Dropping his bag, "I shut down the tracking. No one will know we're here. The communication system is usable now, but only in short bursts." She stood slowly, walking over to him. "Thank you. Don't mention it," but she didn't move away. She looked up at him, her eyes serious. "You don't understand what this means," she said. "You've just placed yourself in the middle of something dangerous." Ryan smiled slightly. "Yeah, I get that feeling." Ilari gave a small laugh. It was the first time she truly smiled. Then her face turned thoughtful again. "We can't stay here long," she said. "They'll keep searching. And if they find me, they'll kill us both." "Then we better finish repairing that ship," Ryan said. "Because when we leave, we're doing it on your terms, not theirs." The next few days passed quickly. Ryan and Ilari worked together to repair the ship. Each morning they carried tools and supplies through the canyon to the crash site. The damage was worse than Ryan first thought. Multiple systems were burned out, and the power core was barely holding together. But they made progress slowly. Ilari guided him through parts of the ship he didn't understand. She knew the layout by heart. Even injured, she moved with grace, touching each control like it was part of her. Ryan could tell she had grown up around this kind of technology. "You're good at this," he said one day, watching her adjust a glowing panel. "I trained since childhood," she replied. "Not all royals are taught battle. Some of us are. Taught machines, ships, engines, signals. I preferred engines over politics." Ryan smiled. "Then maybe you were meant to crash near a mechanic." She gave him a tired but warm look. Together, they replaced broken circuits, reconnected fuel lines, and cleaned out debris. The ship still had many problems, but now it could power up without burning out. Ryan had managed to bring the engines back online at low strength. Ilari was able to test navigation, though short range only. But while they worked, something else happened. The two of them grew closer. Ryan wasn't used to company, especially not from someone like her. Ilari was calm, sharp, and serious. But there were moments when she laughed, small, soft laughs that made Ryan feel lighter. She would ask questions about Earth, and he would tell her stories about his family, his old job, and the simple life he lived at. Ellery listened with interest. "Your people are strange," she said once. "Yeah," Ryan said with a grin. "But we're not boring." In the evenings, back at the shelter, they shared meals and talked more. Ryan found himself watching her when she wasn't looking. How her eyes scanned every corner of the room. How she always sat with her back near a wall, always alert. She had been raised in danger, and now that danger was coming closer. One night, as they studied a control module together, Ilari grew quiet. She stared at the screen for a long time. "What is it?" Ryan asked. She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "This code. It holds a key? A key? To a royal vault," she said. "My mother stored secrets, their maps, agreements, knowledge about weapons and ancient defenses. If I access it, I can prove my identity. I can show that I'm alive. And I can expose the ones who tried to kill me." Ryan leaned forward. "That's good, right?" "Yes, but also dangerous," she said. "If the code gets into the wrong hands, it could be used to start a war." Ryan felt a chill. "So we need to protect it. Until you're safe. Till the truth is heard," she corrected. Later that night, Ryan couldn't sleep. Stood outside the shelter, staring at the stars, thought about how quickly everything had changed. He had gone from fixing mining bots to guarding a princess and helping her uncover secrets that could shake the galaxy. Then something blinked in the sky. At first, he thought it was just a star, but it moved, slowly, steadily. Ow. Then another light. Followed two ships. They weren't friendly. Ryan rushed inside. "Larry, wake up!" She was already awake, sitting up. "I saw it too. They're scanning. It's looking for you." "We don't have time," she said. "We need to hide the ship." Ryan shook his head. "Can't move it far. But maybe, just maybe, we can block the signal." They rushed back to the crash site, carrying a jammer Ryan had built from scrap. It wasn't perfect, but it could mask the ship's signature for a few hours. "Place it here," Ilari said, pointing to the ship's belly. "It must link with the main power line." Ryan crawled under the ship, wires in his mouth, tools in hand. He worked fast. Above him, Ilari kept watch with a small scanner. "Hurry," she whispered. "They're getting close." The device clicked into place. Ryan flicked the switch. The ship's signal went dead. In the sky, the two unknown ships paused, scanned. Again, then turned away, lying toward the far hills. They had missed the crash site. Ryan rolled out and stood up, brushing dirt from his clothes. That was close. Ilari looked relieved. Too close. He sat on a rock, breathing hard, watching the ships vanish in the distance. "They'll come back," Ryan said. "Next time with ground troops." "I know," Ilari said. "Don't have long." The sun began to rise. The canyon glowed gold and red. In that quiet moment, Ryan looked at her. "What do we do next?" Ilari turned to him. "We finish the ship. We fly to a place I know, a hidden base. It's the last stronghold loyal to my family. And after that?" "Then," she said softly, "we show them I'm still alive." Ryan nodded. "And I'll be right there with you." She smiled. "I wouldn't want anyone else." Ryan worked faster than ever before. After the near discovery by the enemy ships, he knew their time was running out. Every wire, every panel, every bolt mattered now. Ilari helped where she could, but her injuries still slowed her. She insisted on working beside him anyway. The engines were almost ready. Ryan had rebuilt most of the damaged parts, using both alien tech and human scrap. It was a strange mix, but it worked. The power core still flickered sometimes, but it was stable enough. For one jump if they were lucky. Ellery was checking the ship's exterior when the scanner beeped again. Ryan ran to her side. "What is it?" She pointed to the small screen. 3 dots were moving fast. They're back. Different ships this time. Smaller. Scout class. They're going to land. They must have picked up a trace when we tested the engines yesterday. Ryan said, his voice low. "We need to leave now." Ryan looked at the ship. "It's not ready. One of the thrusters is still half dead." "Can it fly?" He took a breath. "If we're lucky, maybe." They rushed inside the ship. Ryan slid into the pilot's seat, and Ilari dropped into the co-pilot chair. Systems blinked to life, and the engines gave a soft hum. Outside, the enemy ships landed in the far side of the canyon. Armed soldiers spilled out, tall aliens in black armor, scanning the ground and moving quickly toward the crash site. Ryan gritted his teeth. "Hold on." Yes. He hit the ignition. The ship shook, engines roaring. Rocks and dust blew in all directions as the damaged thruster struggled to fire. Come on, he muttered. The ship groaned, lifted slowly from the canyon floor, and then finally raced forward, just as the enemy soldiers reached the edge. Blaster. Shots flew through the air, striking the back of the ship. Sparks burst from one of the rear panels. "We're hit," Ilari shouted. "Not bad," Ryan said. "Still flying?" He steered the ship low, weaving through the canyon like a river. The narrow walls passed by in a blur. One wrong turn, and they would crash again. Behind them, the scout ships launched into the air. "They're chasing us," Ilari called. "I see them." Ryan pulled the controls hard, sending the ship into a sharp dive under a rocky bridge. The scout ships followed, firing bursts of red light that barely missed their hole. "Navigation's too slow," Ryan said. "We need to jump now." "I'm setting coordinates," Ilari replied. "Can't jump too close to the base. They might track it." The ship shook as another blast hit the side. A warning light flashed on the screen. "Shields gone," Ryan shouted. "Coordinates ready," Ilari said, her hands flying over the console. "Initiating warp in 3, 2, 1. A bright flash filled the cockpit, then silence. They were gone. Space stretched and twisted around them as they entered warp. Stars became long streaks, and the shaking stopped. Ryan leaned back, heart pounding. He looked over at Ilari. Was breathing hard, but alive. "We made it," he said. For now, she replied. They checked the damage. The ship had lost most of its rear shields, and the left engine was leaking plasma. It was a miracle they'd escaped at all. How far are we from your base? Ryan asked. A few hours, she said. We need to land and cool the engines first, otherwise we'll burn out mid-jump. They found a quiet moon near an empty gas giant. It had caves, ice, and no signs of life. They set the ship down near a large rock formation and shut everything off to cool. Inside the cockpit, the lights dimmed. Everything was still. You okay? Ryan asked her, and Ellery looked at him. You saved my life again. He gave a tired smile. You saved mine, too. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Ellery said, when we reach the base, I don't know what will happen. What do you mean? I haven't been there in years. It's run by loyal guards, but they may not recognize me. And even if they do, they may not trust you. Ryan nodded slowly. I'll deal with that. Right now, we just need to survive.
Ellery
reached out and gently touched his arm. You've already done more than anyone ever has. The touch was soft, full of meaning. Ryan didn't say anything, but he felt something shift inside him. They weren't just strangers anymore. They were a team now. Be more. Outside, the cold moonlight shone across the frozen rocks. Inside, the two sat quietly, side by side, waiting for the engines to rest and the danger to rise again soon. They would fly into the heart of Ellery's world, a place of secrets, allies and enemies. Ryan didn't know what waited for them, but he knew one thing. He wasn't leaving her. Sighed. Not now, not ever. After hours of rest and cool down on the quiet moon, Ryan and Ellery restarted the engines. The ship was shaky, but still running. The repairs they had done earlier were holding together barely. With limited fuel and no backup systems, they had one chance to reach the hidden base. Ellery entered the last set of coordinates into the nav screen. This should take us near the cliffs of Avara. There's an old fortress built into the mountain. It was once a royal training site. My mother trusted those who ran it. Let's hope they still do, Ryan said. The ship jumped into warp. This time, the ride was rough. Alarms buzzed as energy levels dipped and sparks flew from a console near the wall. Ryan smacked the panel to shut it off. This thing's falling apart, he muttered. Ellery gave a small smile. It'll make it. I'll believe that when we land in one piece. When the warp ended, a giant mountain range came into view. The cliffs of Avara rose like frozen teeth from a blue-gray planet. Thick clouds swirled below. The base, according to Ellery, was hidden inside the largest peak. Approaching the outer sensors, Ellery said, I'll send a recognition pulse. Light flashed across the ship's front screen, then another. Then silence. Ryan kept his hands on the controls. Should they be responding by now? Ellery frowned. Yes. And then a deep voice came through the comm. Identify yourself or you will be destroyed. Ryan froze. Ellery leaned forward and spoke clearly. This is Ellery of House Verena, daughter of the High Matriarch. Security code Gamma-12-7. Lower defenses.
Ow.
A long pause followed. Then the voice came again, this time softer. Princess. Is it really you? Yes, Ellery said. The ship's scanners picked up movement. Hangar doors opened in the side of the mountain. A landing path lit up below. You are cleared to land, the voice said. Ryan guided the ship through thick fog and toward the hangar. The moment the ship touched down, its systems gave out. Sparks popped, and the lights went dark. The vessel groaned like it was finally ready to rest. Ryan sighed. We made it. The doors opened, and armed guards rushed in, but they weren't hostile. Were dressed in dark silver armor, marked with the crest of Eleria's royal family. When they saw her, most stopped in place, shocked. One of the older guards stepped forward. He removed his helmet. His hair was gray, and his eyes sharp. Princess Ellery, he said. We thought you were gone, Commander Drell, she replied. Stepping off the ship? I'm alive, barely, and I need your help. Drell nodded slowly. Then we serve again. Ellery turned and waved Ryan forward. This is Ryan. He found me. repaired my ship, saved my life. Drell looked at Ryan. A human. He's more than that, Ilari said. He's loyal. Ryan gave a short nod. Just a guy who knows how to fix things. They led the pair inside. The fortress was built from stone and steel, old but strong. Deep halls lit by soft lights stretched into the mountain. Ilari walked ahead, head high, even with her injuries. Her presence changed the energy of the place. Guards whispered. Some bowed, others looked unsure. Inside the main chamber, Ilari met with the base's council, 5 trusted commanders who had once served under her mother. She told them everything. The attack, the betrayal, the stolen throne, and the secret code hidden in her ship's memory core. If we unlock the vault, she said, we can expose those behind the plot. And I can reclaim my place. One of the council members, a tall woman with sharp features, crossed her arms. You return with no army, no fleet, and bring a human as your only shield. How can we be sure you are who you claim? Ilari didn't flinch. You want proof? Take my blood. Scan my code. Test my voice. The truth is there. The council discussed in private. Ryan waited outside with Drell. They'll test her. Drell said. But if she passes, they will follow. And if she fails? Ryan asked. Then we both disappear. After hours, the council returned. The tests confirm her identity, the woman said. She is the true heir. The room bowed. Ilari stood tall. Prepare the ship's core, she said. I will open the vault. Technicians moved fast, linking the core to the base's computers. When the encryption key activated, a glowing symbol appeared, Ilari's family crest. Then files opened. Apps, messages, secret orders, and names, proof of those who had betrayed her family. Gasps filled the room. We send this to the loyal houses, one commander said. No, Ilari said firmly. We do more. We rally them. Show them I am alive. Then we strike back. She turned to Ryan. Are you still with me? He smiled. All the way that night the fortress began to move. Lights turned on in rooms long unused. Old ships were pulled from storage. Weapons were checked. Messages were sent in secret. The storm was coming. But for the first time, Ilari wasn't alone. She had Ryan beside her and a reason to fight back. The fortress was no longer silent. Every hallway echoed with footsteps, voices, and clanging tools. The once hidden base had come alive. Ships were being prepared. Weapons were cleaned and powered. Armor was fitted. The loyal guards of House Verena were ready to fight again. Ilari stood at the command deck overlooking the mountain range. The stars above looked calm, but she knew danger waited in their light. She held the weight of her people on her shoulders now, but this time she didn't stand alone. Ryan walked up beside her. The council says the ships are ready. Good, Ilari said. We send the message tonight. And what about the enemy? They'll hear it too. The plan was risky, but there was no other choice. Ilari would broadcast a message across allied and neutral sectors, showing her alive and revealing the truth about the betrayal. The files from the royal vault were proof solid and undeniable. They tried to kill me, she said quietly. Now they'll know they failed. Ryan looked at her. You're not afraid? I am, she said, but not of them. I'm afraid of failing the people who believed in me, and afraid of losing the one who stood by me when no one else did. Ryan looked away for a second. Her words reached deeper than he expected. You won't lose me, he said softly. That night the broadcast went out. The message was short but powerful. Ilari stood tall in her old royal uniform, her family crest shining behind her. She spoke of truth, of justice, and of the lies that almost destroyed her. She named the traitors. She showed the files. She ended with a vow. I am alive, and I am coming. The message spread fast. Ryan watched the signals move through space on the monitors. Within hours, replies began to return. Loyal houses, small fleets, and even distant allies who had once feared speaking up. You've shaken the stars, Ryan said. Now we move. But they didn't move alone. Enemy ships arrived faster than expected. The traitors had been watching, and now they wanted to finish what they started. A fleet of warships appeared near the planet, blocking all exits. Commander Drell turned to Alari. "We must defend the base." "No," she said. "We break through." She looked at Ryan. "You repaired my old ship. You trust it one last time?" "I trust you," he replied. The royal vessel was loaded again. It still wore the scars of its crash, but the engines were steady, the shields working, and the systems stable. Ryan took the pilot seat, Alari beside him, and Drell joined with 2 other escort ships. "We hit fast," Alari said. "Straight through their line. If we scatter them, the rest of our fleet can escape and join the others." The hangar doors opened. The ship's launch space lit up with fire and motion. The enemy fleet spread out to block them, but Ryan flew like a storm. Weaving, dodging, twisting through blasts of energy and missiles. The enemy ships fired again and again, but the royal vessel slipped through like a shadow. Ilari gave orders to the escorts, target their main cruiser, aim for the engines. The battle grew loud. Flashes lit the dark sky. One of the escort ships was hit and spun out, but the rest pushed forward. Ryan flew directly toward the largest ship, heading straight for its central command. "You planning to crash into it?" Ilari shouted. "Only if we have to," Ryan said, grinning. He pulled the ship up sharply, causing enemy missiles to crash into their own cruiser. Explosions rocked the air. One enemy ship lost control and slammed into another. Fire spread across the sky. "We have a hole," Drell's voice came through the comm. "Now's the time," Ilari shouted. "Go." The royal vessel jumped forward, bursting past the enemy line. They were free, behind them. The rest of the loyal fleet launched and escaped through the broken enemy circle. Smaller ships followed. Escape pods, transport shuttles, case fighters. El Ari watched the monitor as her people scattered to freedom. She turned to Ryan. "You did it, right?" he said. The ship entered warp again, heading toward the meeting point, a deep space location far from known systems. There Ilari's supporters would gather, waiting for her leadership. A few hours later, they landed on a large carrier ship hidden in a nebula. Hundreds of voices cheered as Ilari stepped out. Ryan followed behind, quiet but proud. The council bowed. The soldiers saluted. The people who had once served her family now stood ready again. One of the commanders spoke. "Princess Ilari, we await your word." Ilari looked around the crowd. Then her voice rang clear. "We will not live in hiding. We will not let fear decide our future. We are the children of Verena, and we rise now not for revenge, but for peace and truth." The hall roared with cheers. After the speech, Ilari walked with Ryan through the quiet parts of the ship. "So what now?" he asked. "Now," she said, "we build again. We reclaim what was lost. And me?" She stopped, turned to face him. "You're part of that future if you want to be." Ryan smiled. "Guess I was never just a mechanic." "No," she said. "You were the one who helped me believe again." She reached out and took his hand. Together, they walked forward toward a new chapter.